the people who know much more about it than I do, really are experts, seem very reluctant to speak about this. So what happens is that people like me, it's more left up to people like me. Now I'd just like to say good morning to you all. Lovely to see everybody. I want to give many thanks to Stuart Galloway for arranging all this enormous amount of hard work. Also to Alan Johnson for all his supportive efforts. It's a bit nervy being the first presenter. The last time I was the first speaker was 12 years ago in 2004. I spoke on the Tibbet killing. My subject was, did Tibbet stop anybody? And I argued that he didn't. This time mine is a very different subject. My presentation is concentrated on what I regard as a mystery of Oswald's ammunition clip, which is, all right. This is all part of a 25,000 word project, assuming I live to complete it. And this is just a small part of it. Superficially, this seems a very trivial subject, but to my mind it's not. It seems to me a crucial topic. I believe the combination of photographic evidence with the obfuscations of the Warren Commission and the HSCA point to something sinister. This presentation will explain why. But now, a word of apology. There is, I'm afraid, a repetitive element in this presentation. The reason is that for the mystery of the ammunition clip to be best understood, it requires a context. And that context is the widespread confusion over the rifle, and a big part of this confusion is the Mauser issue. You may remember that I spoke on this topic in 2014, and for this presentation I shall have to retrace some of my Mauser steps of 2 years ago. However, I'm not too worried about this quick canter through the Mauser issue, especially as I emphasise features I glossed over 2 years ago. Also, I'm in great agreement with Ian Greggs. I'd like to welcome Ian here. Very nice to see you, Ian. With Ian Greggs. 8 years ago, in the course of a most impressive presentation on who found the rifle, Ian said, in my opinion, the initial misidentification of the rifle as a German 7.65 Mauser is of far greater significance and importance than has previously been appreciated. I would go so far as to claim this is one of the most far-reaching errors we have in this case. I would add, in addition to what Ian says about the initial misidentification of the rifle, I would add there is, to my mind, confusion over the ammunition clip. How it is that Oswald's rifle, with a seemingly jammed ammunition clip, could have fired 3 shots in 6 or 8 seconds, with the last 2 shots coming on top of one another. This presentation does not stand on its own. It is designed to work in conjunction with 6,000 words of information sheets which accompany what I'm saying. Before I start this presentation, I would like to thank Barry Keane for his wonderful work in preparing this PowerPoint. What benefit you get from this presentation is a large part due to him, so I say many thanks to Barry. I'd also like to thank Peter Ansell, who's helped me enormously. He has supplied this ammunition clip, so you can see an actual ammunition clip. Right, now, I'm not going to start. Right. Sorry if I walk around all peculiar, it's just because of my age. The depository rifle, 4 challenging issues. We've got 4 challenging issues here, and 14 questions which come from these issues, which are in your information sheets. Why was the world told for some 20 hours after the discovery of the rifle that the assassination weapon was a Mauser, when it was obvious to all the depository police officers, about 12 of them, that the discovered weapon was not a Mauser rifle? There is, I shall argue, no way in which the discovered rifle could have been misidentified. We are, I contend, dealing with well, I've got, I think it's a bit of a strong word there, I take that back, with some form of very serious or sinister misinformation on a massive scale. seemingly by an entire police force. 2, why when the rifle was removed from its concealing boxes, its bolt was found to be open with a 4th round already in the chamber, suggesting that Oswald had manually inserted this last round in such haste that astonishingly he hid the rifle with the bolt carelessly left open. Why, how would Oswald have done this? Or did he do it? Perhaps somebody else did it to make the shooting look more convincing. 3, how Oswald could have fired the depository rifle so rapidly with what appears to be in a damaged ammunition clip. Remember, Oswald's clip did not fall for the rifle it should have done, and would have done had it been in good order, but instead was found so badly jammed within this magazine, literally contained within it, that it had to be extracted. 4, like the doubts about the ammunition clip, are questions on another basis, the rifle's firing capability. Could Oswald, firing a rifle with such a stiff bolt action, have aimed 3 shots in 8 seconds, with the last 2 shots coming almost simultaneously? Now, the shooting was not bang, bang, bang. It was bang, 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 like that, absolutely rapid fire. The answer to this must obviously be no. Now, parenthetically, an interesting final point. I firmly believe that Mannlicher Carcano, in good working order, would have been an adequate assassination rifle. In fact, it would have been a very good one, because it had much smaller kickback than the Mauser, but only in the hands of a shooter familiar with the rifle. And, key point this, experienced in judgment, in the judgment required for shooting with the weapon downwards at a moving target. And Oswald, as I shall argue later, was an arguably not in that category. Even with the Mannlicher Carcano in excellent condition, Oswald could not have done the shooting. He was, to my mind, clearly framed. These are all my opinions. You may totally disagree with me. If you do, you're no friends of mine. But, this first issue is by far the most vexed question in the whole of the assassination controversy, and it cries out for a response from all JFKers. It involves all other issues, ballistic, medical, witness statements, etc., because firstly it rests on unarguable foundations, and secondly because it's immediately understandable when put in a truthful form. It's a question which after 53 years remains unanswered because it's been obscured by irrelevancies. The official response is principally to ignore it, or if discussion cannot be avoided, to castrate the issue by dismissing it as a question of misidentification, a dismissal which I can show to be deliberately dishonest. What I'm talking about, yes, of course you've guessed it, is the infamous Mauser question. Here are the basic facts. The Tom Allier film shows a rifle being taken from the box or boxes. But what we see in the Tom Allier film, or the rifle is taken from its hiding place, it could be, to ordinary eyes, be either Mannlicher Carcano or 7.65 Mauser. Both rifles had a very similar profile, as the pictures below make clear. Those two pictures are Mausers, and you can see with the Mauser there, the bolt is over the trigger guard. That is the characteristic of a Mauser. That is Mannlicher Carcano. The major difference is the bolt is ahead of the trigger guard, otherwise the two rifles in profile could look the same. But this is the decisive point. If the guns are turned trigger guard upwards, the difference between them comes immediately obvious. The Mannlicher Carcano was a clip-fed rifle. Its clip was an integral part of its firing system. The rifle discharged its clip. It automatically fell. No mechanism was required. Immediately the last round had been chambered. And the clip exited through a very conspicuous aperture at the bottom of the magazine. Right. So there is in this magazine here a hole where the clip exits. Now, in America at that time, none of the gun in the world was like that. There are only 2 guns which used ammunition clips. There was the Carcano rifles, and there was the Mannlicher Garand, the M1 Garand, a semi-automatic rifle. Well, that one, jettisons its clip from the top of the rifle. And right. The Mauser was a radical development from the Mannlicher Carcano. It used an ammunition clip, but the clip was permanently installed in the magazine. That was its characteristic feature. Therefore, the Mauser magazine had no aperture for a clip to fall through. All of the 12 officers present in the depository would have seen the rifle the discovered rifle had an escape aperture in its magazine. This exit aperture would tell all the law enforcement officers present that whatever the gun was, it was a clip-fed rifle and therefore could not be a Mauser, a non-clip-fed rifle. At the time of the assassination, only one rifle in the world had a magazine like this. It was a made in Italy Mannlicher Carcano. The picture on the left, there you are. That is the characteristic. The magazine had that opening there. No other gun in the world. It's like a schoolboy with green hair. It was obvious. This Mauser, no opening at all. So as soon as you turn the guns over, you can tell the difference. Now this is an amazing thing. Two gun experts, Robert Fraser, the Warren Commission, Monty Lutz, for the Wisconsin ballistics experts for the HSCA, were asked how there could be a confusion. And they both said exactly the same thing. Well, the two guns look the same in profile. They never said, if you turn the guns over, you can see the difference straight away. They just said they were the same in profile. Monty Lutz covered himself even further by saying, well, the silhouettes of the gun look the same. And he was helped by Robert Edgar, the HSCA investigative officer at the time, who said to him, to a casual observer, could the rifles be confused? Well, the answer is obviously yes, to a casual observer who just saw them in profile. But Robert Edgar knew perfectly well the Dallas police were not casual observers of the rifle. So you see, the HSCA knew perfectly well what had happened. And that question gives the whole game away, because he knows he's been deceptive. He was trying to get Monty Lutz, so he wouldn't perjure himself by saying, well, you know, to a casual observer, could they both look the same? And he said yes, which is perfectly truthful. You turn the guns over, you see the difference straight away. And the Dallas police, whatever they were not casual observers. Apart from the difference in their respective magazines, a further matter knocked on the head any idea that the positive rifle could be a Mauser. Stamped on the discovered rifle was its Italian origins, which you can see just faintly shown there. According to Lieutenant Day, the discovered rifle has stamped on it 6.5 caliber C2766 1940 made in Italy. That's what he told the Warren Commission. This stamped information plus the confirmatory aperture, the magazine, would have told both Will Fritz and Lieutenant Day and all the other law officers surrounding the discovered weapon that the assassination gun was a 6.5 Mannlicher Carcano. Had the rifle been an Argentinian 7.65 Mauser, they were telling the world this is what they would have seen stamped on the rifle, something totally different. However, and this is the most demanding question of the assassination, for 20 hours the Dallas Sheriff's Office told the world the assassination weapon was a 7.65 German Mauser. Now, if you Google water Congrite 7.65 Mauser, you'll get the actual video clip. Here are some of the announcements from the Sheriff's Office. They said it came from the Sheriff's Office. A Mauser-made German rifle. A 7.65 German rifle. A 7.65 German-made army rifle. And Walter Congrite, CBS, announcing Oswald worked in the building where the murder weapon, a German-made Mauser rifle, was found. All Dallas law enforcement, that is the police, HQ and the Sheriff's Office, all knew the discovered rifle was not made in Germany. It had made in Italy stamped on it. The Dallas police knew the gun bore the mark 6.5 caliber, but they chose misinformed the world, I may be too strong a word, through disinforming the news media and say the count of the rifle was 7.65. For 20 hours, Dallas law enforcement misled the world on every aspect of the rifle. Well, you're all JFKers. It cost you a lot of time and effort to come here. So you must have some idea in your mind, some theory about the assassination which can explain this. But it's very, very, well, it's not baffling, it's more than that, it's most peculiar. Now, I have got a theory, but it's purely mine. Now, to repeat this most important assassination fact, the difference between a Mauser and a Mannlicher Carcano is as obvious and as immediate to perception as the difference in Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Now, let's apply this idea. Here's what Walter Cronkite said in his CBS announcement the afternoon of the Saturday, the day after the assassination. From Dallas, we've heard that a definite identification has been made of the type of rifle used in the assassination of President Kennedy. It was not a Mauser, as has been reported through most of yesterday and today, but an Italian Mannlicher Carcano manufactured in the Italian town of Paravicini. Now, let's for Mauser substitute Elizabeth Taylor, and for Mannlicher Carcano substitute Richard Burton. Then Walter Cronkite's announcement would have been given as follows. From Dallas, we've heard that a definite identification has been made of the person spotted in the Texas School book depository. It was not a woman, Elizabeth Taylor, as has been reported through most of yesterday and today, but a man called Richard Burton. We apologise for this misidentification. There is Elizabeth Taylor, there is Richard Burton. There is the gun with a hole in the magazine, there is the gun with no aperture in the magazine. It's as simple and as obvious as that. Apart from the facts I've already given, there are 6 more challenging facts. According to the news agency, their source of information was the sheriff's office. Yet Sheriff Bill Dacre, when he gave evidence to the Warren Commission, was never asked about the erroneous Mauser information which for 20 hours his office had given the public. Jesse Curry, the Dallas chief of police, like Sheriff Dacre, was never asked to account for the part his police force had played in the Mauser misinformation. The senior officer on the 6th floor of the book depository where the rifle was found on the floor was Captain Will Fritz, head of homicide and robbery at Dallas Police Headquarters. In his testimony to Commission, Captain Fritz denied suggestion the rifle was a Mauser, and like Sheriff Dacre, he was never asked why the news agencies were misinformed for so long. We know that at least 12 law enforcement officers were on the floor or thereabouts when the rifle was found, and yet none was questioned by the Commission on the 20-hour Mauser misidentification. When towards 12:30 AM on the morning of the assassination at midnight press conference, District Attorney Henry Wade was asked the make of the assassination rifle. He implied it's a Mauser, I believe. Yet when he made this misidentification, the rifle, so obviously not a Mauser, had been in the personal custody of Lieutenant Day in his office at Dallas Police HQ for about 9 hours. And that's from his Warren Commission testimony. Plenty of time for a correct identification. Before telling the world that he thought the assassination rifle was a Mauser, District Attorney Henry Wade was for an hour closeted with Captain Fritz, Assistant District Attorney Phil Alexander, FBI Agent Jim Bookhart, and later with Police Chief Jesse Curry. Because the rifle had been at Dallas Police Laboratory for 9 or 10 hours, from this fact alone, all 4 of those mentioned must surely have known the gun was a Mannlicher Carcano. And yet, Wade, despite everything, said at the midnight press conference, all the world's TV cameras were on him, everything was on him, that it was a Mauser. And later in his testimony to the Commission, he said that this misidentification came from the police. Now we come to a separate topic. This picture here shows Will Fritz's hand moving towards the rifle. Note 2 points. The first thing that Captain Fritz must have seen is the magazine had an aperture, obviously the exit of an ammunition clip. Therefore, Captain Fritz knows immediately the gun is not a Mauser, because as I said, a Mauser did not use an ammunition clip. Two, it appears that he's going to take the rifle, as I've just said, for examination, with his bolt already partially open. You see, there he is. The first thing he sees is the magazine. He sees the trigger guard straight away. He must see the aperture. He must know that is a clip-fed rifle. Instantly he knew it. The same way you could see Elizabeth Taylor and know she's not Richard Burton. Exactly the same thing as that. Now to our second topic, this open bolt. These two pictures show how Van Lycka bolt looks when bolt is closed and when the bolt is open. There it is closed, there it is open, the bolt stands upright. This picture shows Lieutenant Day, the Dallas Police Station senior crime officer, examining the rifle just after he's removed it from the boxes. In the background is Will Fritz, head of homicide and robbery, Dallas Police HQ. Well, you can just see very faintly Will Fritz there. That's the bolt, and then you just see there the bolt head. It's standing up. That bolt is open.
That wasn't a restaging or anything. That was actually at the moment they...
Yeah, that's the time of our film. Right. So far as we know, that was actually, that was no restaging. Right, right. Now the red, I forget who wrote the book. It's a photographic book about the pain, wasn't it? Get the man's name now.
Pictures of the pain.
That's right, yeah. Well, he regards that as a genuine picture. Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing that. I just was making...
No, I know you want. You wanted clarification. Yeah, fair enough. Note the arrow, red arrow points to the bolt itself, and the white arrow to the bolt head. Note also the bolt is obviously open. Mr. Berlin, did you dust the bolt for fingerprints? Mr. Day, yes, sir. Mr. Berlin, before the live round was ejected. Mr. Day, no. The only part the captain touched was the round knob. I looked at it through a glass and decided there was not a print, and it would be safe for him to open